Okay, we're back to talk about Hijack, Season 2, Episode 5 on Apple TV. This episode titled Outage, written by Amir Kinney and Chris Dunlop, and directed by Sean James Grant. Episode 5 begins with the passengers' frustration on the train beginning to boil over. A group of passengers stages a mutiny to try to disable Sam and take control of the train. During a brief power outage in the carriage, they tackle and restrain him and eventually tie him to a pole, searching his pockets. What they find are keys to the driver's cab to reach Otto, the train operator, intending to force the train to stop. Despite Sam's desperate warnings that leaving the train will force bombs to explode, the passengers initially remain unconvinced. But things begin to shift when Sam notices a remote control fly out of Jess's bag. Jess reveals the device is not a detonator, but a timer. To prevent the 8 bombs from exploding, she must re-enter specific codes every 15 minutes for each car. After the passengers steal the timer from her, Jess relents and provides the passengers with the codes. However, the clock runs out for the final car on the train. Sam tries to get everyone to evacuate, but the episode ends with a last car exploding. Outside of the train, Daniel interrogates Stuart Atherton, the lead hijacker from season 1, who is currently in custody. They attempt to gain information regarding Cheapside Firm and the plan to use Sam to liberate John Bailey Brown. Detective Zoran uses evidence to track Sam's pre-hijacking meetings to a pub where a quote officer type British man was often present. And lastly, Marcia continues to be watched by the couple, Gold and Mansell, who seem to be involved in the hijacking plot, and they make their way into her house near the end of the episode. So we're left with things to be worried about with Marcia. We're left with things to be worried about with Sam because the train, parts of the train have exploded, although presumably he will be fine. We are slowly uncovering the layers and the people involved in this. Interesting to see Stuart Atherton come back, who's in prison, but don't know what his level of involvement is. Thoughts on this episode 5 of 8 of Hijack?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely entertaining. Um, as always, it's kind of like, okay, well, now what? Um, I think this season as a whole feels a bit weaker to me than season one did, unfortunately. But I am entertained enough, and we'll talk it through. How did this one land for you?
Yeah, not as good for me as episode 4. It just seemed to be a lot of talking on the train that spun wheels to get to a certain point that, okay, we kind of knew this already. It's always harder when us as an audience is way, way, way ahead of the characters in the show, which is what happened in
Yeah,
this. I think it's not a long stretch to say that, none of our main characters are going to have died in this explosion in the last car on the train. So I have had some of the about the quality of this season. I do wonder, which is how I think you and I both consume most of the first season. Will this be better as if I just binged it? And I'm not so sure that's the case at this point.
yeah. Maybe if we were binging it, we wouldn't be, critically analyzing it as much. But
Yeah.
that's particularly coming from me, that's a pretty negative thing to say because it's like you'd enjoy the show more if you thought about it less. That's almost like the most critical I could be.
Yeah.
But I think there is a level to that where the fact that we've been kind of digging into it and thinking it through, we are really kind of ahead of where the show is in figuring some of this stuff out. And I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of hope with some of the stuff that we'll get to today in terms of thinking about what's going to happen next, I kind of hope that we end up being wrong or that I end up being wrong about some of this more than I have been
Yeah.
so far, I guess. I want to be more surprised.
I think, yeah, in terms of being surprised, I think that's been a big component that I find missing from this season. There were reveals of people who ended up being on the plane in season 1 that we didn't realize were involved in this. There are reveals of people that suddenly just out of nowhere sort of took over in some of the plots that we weren't used to or weren't prepared for. Um, I guess we've had a little bit of that with Jess. So I'm not exactly sure what this other, I guess, more elderly lady on the train is doing, her and her husband, what role they play. not exactly sure what role Faber plays. He seemed to be front and center in the first few, and now less prominent in these last couple. I think there's still things to come, but is it as engaging as maybe the surprise or the twist in season one? I can't say for me that they have been.
Right. I mean, sort of on the train itself is maybe something of the issue there. We've with learning that Jess is working with the hijackers or whatever. That happened in a pretty straightforward way, and it was just like, okay, now we
Yeah.
know that. And then in this episode, well, everyone else on the train figures it out as well, and so on. One thing I guess I do think is interesting there is that they've really messed things up. As you said, I don't think any of the characters we know are going to die in that explosion.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, like, it's possible some more minor character will end up having died or something, but I almost don't even know why they would do
Yeah.
that. If they all manage to get out of that last car and all the people are safe, is the damage somehow just to that last car? I don't know if that's super plausible. If so, but I find myself guessing that's what they're going to do. They're be like, oh well, damn it, well, at least it was just that one car, and the rest of the train is fine. Like, or um, are they going to spend time worrying about detaching the destroyed car from the other ones, or
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, none of that's interesting. That's not what I was referring to. But how? Look, I don't know that I buy that the German authorities were going to like deliver John Bailey Brown over to Sam, but that convoy was on the way, and because
Yeah.
of what happens in this episode, and because of the passenger mutiny, if we want to call it that, then this has gotten messed up. They can see the train stopped now twice, right? They call off the convoy
Hmm.
before even the explosion occurs, right? Um, Now that bomb has gone off. How do the German authorities react to that? And also, how do the like I want to say hijackers, but what I mean are whoever's really behind it. However, I don't know how to refer to them for sure because we don't know exactly who it is, right?
Yeah.
Um, the masterminds of the plan. How do they react to it?
Yeah.
And how Sam and now arguably Jess as well have messed things up. So with all that in mind, it really has kind of shaken up the story and where it's at. So I am really curious to see what they do with that. I guess if nothing else.
Yeah, and maybe that's the one big reveal that is still yet to come over 3 episodes is it can't be, well, we don't think it can be John Bailey Brown. It's not, say, Stuart Atherton. It's not Jess. It's not Sam. So who is the person for pulling the levers in all of this? Have we seen them? Do we know them? Is it something where they are, we're going to get a double cross at some point? I think that's likely based on
Yeah.
type of show that we're watching, but at what layer that is, I'm not sure, and what would be the motivation for them doing that. So yeah, that's I think the big thing still to be revealed is someone is in charge of all this, but it doesn't seem to be the people that we know yet.
Right. In season one, they did kind of introduce John Bailey Brown and the other guy. What was his name? Edgar or something, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Who ended up dying relatively late in, right? So that is a possibility that they're going to say, "Oh, well, here's who's behind it. Here's the story," and we get introduced to new characters. Um, or maybe not this time. I continue to speculate that it's not a matter of freeing John Bailey Brown,
mm,
but something else, you know, um, like killing him because he's double crossed the Cheapside firm, but now he's in custody or something like that. I don't know though. What did you think of the whole thing with Daniel going to talk to Stewart in prison? Because on one level, to me, it was like, okay, well, it makes sense that you would do that. But on another level, I don't think we got anything out of it whatsoever.
yeah.
Did we?
It did seem like it was just a oh, we're just going to reintroduce a character that you remember from season one that was vitally important, but he's been locked up for 2 years. And yeah, we have plenty of, I think, examples from movies and television shows where, you know, the boss is still a boss, even though he's behind bars and he's pulling the strings and all these things. But that did not give me the impression. See, Adderton says he was just went on that plane to die. He's not the one in charge of these things, so we didn't really get anything out of him.
Right. And I was hoping for at least some kind of clue or something. Like, why are
Yeah.
these scenes in the show? And maybe we're not quite done with that. Maybe something will come out of it. But at least in this episode, I found myself thinking, okay, well, Stewart says he doesn't know anything. Their intention was for him to die on that plane. He didn't. Now he's in prison. They're not keeping him in the loop. And as he said all those things, I was like, okay, I believe you, right? I mean, why would he have any insider information at this point when he's
Yeah.
in prison, you know? Um, unless somehow there's a big twist where he's the one who's behind what's going on now with the hijacking on the plane or something, not the train. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, to get revenge or something like that, unless they're going in that sort of direction or some other kind of clue trickles out of this, I kind of don't even know why the scene's there other than to, I don't know, almost like fan service from season one or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought of too. I didn't get the impression that Adderton is like management level in the Cheapside firm, and they're making sort of some special concessions for him to do things that he wants to do while he's behind bars. So yeah, not real sure what we got, but maybe it was introduced for a device where we can get something out of him later or something. I mean, I think it's hard to tell at this point.
Yeah. I just hope it goes somewhere because
Yeah.
if you think about it, not much has progressed very much, you know? Like we could also talk about Marcia. Okay, well, she's out there in the middle of nowhere. She's being threatened. We know she's being threatened. Sam knows she's being threatened. That couple kind of presents itself from the beginning in a way that feels like a threat.
Hmm.
Then they pull the twist on us with Daniel's friend, and at first we think maybe he was really the threat. And then we find out it was Daniel's friend, and then the couple kills him, and then now the couple, or at least the woman in particular, is worried that Marsha's onto them, which I think she sort of is. Like she heard the beep beep when they were, messing with the car or whatever,
Yeah.
and so they've gone to the house and asked for a bandage or whatever. Now they're in the house. Okay, but that hasn't really gone anywhere. We're still in like the same place of Marsha's being
Exactly.
threatened, right? And other things as well. The hijacking on the train. Okay, you have the demand for John Bailey Brown. I guess things have changed a bit with this episode and the explosion and stuff like that. Um, but I don't feel like we know a lot more than we did before or anything like
Yeah.
that. So I'm trying not to complain too much, but eh, it's,
On the Marsha front, I am one thing I'm actually hopeful for. I don't know that we've seen necessarily a lot of her home at this point. I hope this is a situation where like she and Sam have, I don't know, she has some sort of training or they've rigged that house or something. And, these two people are walking in thinking that they're going to take her hostage, but this is going to turn into like a, no, I'm going to turn this back around on you situation where Marsha's actually becomes the one in charge and something happens to these two thugs that have been following her. I would love to see that kind of twist. But I don't have any reason to believe that. All I have a reason to believe is that she's in hiding and mourning because of, what's happened in the past and because of her son. But I would like to see something like that happen. No, we have another player sort of in the on the board for Sam's side, that kind of thing.
yeah, that would be cool, but is it really in character if
Yeah.
you know, she's onto them and pushes a button and a shotgun, falls out of the wall and I don't know. I don't know if that would quite feel right, but hopefully something happens. I mean, what could happen? Like if she does turn the tables on them, I guess that could be something that happens.
Yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, the other thing would be like if they kill her, but
yeah,
I don't think that they will, at least not soon. In part because I don't think they're supposed to. You know what I mean? At least not yet, or whatever.
I mean, they're
Let's
clearly
look at,
monitoring her for leverage against Sam, right? If Sam goes off tracks, no pun intended, then they can say, "Look, we've got Marcia. She is dead unless you do what we want," right?
yeah, I mean, it feels like that's what they've already done. Again, though,
Yeah.
we know from season one, more or less, that their general operating procedure is to kill the family anyway,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And Sam knows that, I think. Um, I suppose if you're in this situation, you would still hold out hope that somehow that's not going to be the case this time, and the coercion would still work. I mean, I guess that's
Yeah.
plausible. Um, do you think that Jess is being coerced as well?
I at this point, I do. Yes. She
Yeah.
seems skittish enough and reluctant enough, and that's again to use your words, the operating procedure of this show and of this group is to coerce people into doing this, putting their own people in harm's way. So I think she probably is.
Yeah, me too. Although there's a question, how do you interpret how this goes down, right? So you noted on our show sheet the delay between the time running out and the bomb going off. Yeah, that's worth thinking about. But also with the entering of the codes, was it what do you think they were just too late, or did she give the wrong number?
I thinking that I believe she is coerced and she is being forced into doing this. I think it's a situation where it seemed like she was giving the right numbers. They were too late, but she's not holding an automatic timer detonator where, where this is not, you know, lost without going into spoilers, where you enter in the numbers by a certain amount of time and things are gonna to go, start going really, really bad. The people who are coercing her notice that the numbers don't go in, so then they have to decide, okay, are we going to blow this thing or not? And they do. Sort of that's where the hesitation might come from, as opposed to just, oh, there's a minute delay between when this detonator runs out of time and when it goes off.
Okay, that's interesting. So you're thinking that there's something in the middle here where um, the masterminds or whatever we call them actually hit a button to blow up that train car, and that's the reason there was a delay. Am I
Yeah,
understanding what you
like
said right?
why would you put people that you can't predict their, what they're going to do or what their motivations are, or what, how they will stick to the plan. Why would you put them in charge of the bombs when you can be in charge of the bombs?
Yeah, that's interesting. So maybe that's right. Which would meet, so her job is to enter those numbers, but you're suggesting she's actually entering those numbers into some kind of system where then the masterminds, I guess I've settled on that term. If they see those numbers have been entered, so like, okay,
Yeah.
we're still okay. And by not getting that last number in on time, that then they decided to blow up a train car.
Yeah, I mean that could be, and this would all
It's an interesting
hinge on
possibility.
them being able to monitor what's going on in there and knowing what's happening. So I'm not saying that it's plausible. It's just I think a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's plausible in like a real world, realistic sense or
Yeah.
whatever, but in terms of the plot, perhaps that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that. Um, I've been thinking more that the people behind this would be upset about the fact that she messed up and
Yeah.
ended up blowing up part of the train when she wasn't supposed to, and it wasn't part of the plan. So, I don't know, given that, it seems like we should kind of find out one way or another pretty soon, I guess.
Yeah.
Is there someone else on the train that they're controlling? I feel like there has to be. Um,
Yes, I think so. I think so.
at this point, I don't really think it's the older woman we've talked about. I think that she's just kind of maybe been a little bit misguided in trying to
Yeah.
help. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know if they've told us anything like this, but she's a former cop or something, and is
Yeah.
just sticking her
Yeah.
nose in. That's how I'm reading her. So I think someone else is probably going to be involved there, and we'll see. The other big thing that I wanted to talk about, and maybe there's some space for speculation. You mentioned in your summary, Zoran goes to the pub where he found the coaster that Sam left in the vending machine. We presumed
Hmm.
that was going to happen, right? And the guy there tells him that he saw Sam meeting with some, you know, officer type British guy or whatever,
Yeah.
however he puts it exactly. I found myself immediately wondering if that was Faber, but maybe it's just because I struggle to think of others in the story who kind of fit that description. But maybe there's something interesting to think about there. We do see Faber in this episode meeting with Olivia, and she brings him the files that Sam had submitted and all of that. And
Hmm.
Faber says, like he doesn't believe Sam's really behind this, and they'd scrub the CCTV, and where did Sam get this photo and all of that. And I guess I'm just I feel like there's a little bit of a puzzle here that I haven't cracked. What is Faber really up to, and who did Sam meet with in the pub? Thoughts about all of that?
Yeah, my sort of galaxy brained prediction is that Faber is the one sort of behind all of this, in so much as they really want to extradite John Bailey Brown, but there's been some reluctance or something that's held that up from this, and so they have sort of staged this thing to get possession of him, or Faber is now part of this firm, and so that he doesn't get extradited, he set this thing up to do this. I have no evidence to base that off of, other than just Faber sort of disappeared for a couple episodes, and now he's back trying to investigate the evidence here. And why would he and Sam potentially have met in this pub beforehand? To your point, there are really no officer type British folks that we've met yet. I don't think it's Daniel. I don't think it's anybody else that we're familiar with in London. So hey, why not at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just suspicious of Faber. I don't know. I don't know if it's the Toby Jones of it all or if that's feeding into it. But you cast the actor for a reason. I just
Yeah,
I don't take what he says at face value, I guess, but um, I'm not sure what his plan could be if he is lying. Follow me there, right?
yeah,
Like I don't quite buy it if he's being honest that what they wanted to do was just extradite John Bailey Brown and all of that. We've talked about this before. What's the holdup? Why are you holding him in this safe house for weeks and weeks or however long it is?
right.
Why haven't you extradited him back to the UK already? He's a fugitive. So something there isn't really holding up for me. The idea of wiping the CCTV so no one else would know he's in Germany, a little suspicious of that as well. Again, the best I
Yep.
can do is to wonder if somehow the plan is for him to testify against other people, and so they don't know want those other people to know where he is at all, and that's why they're holding him in Germany or something. Like maybe this could
Yeah.
hold up if we follow that. Then it is a big question of, well, where did Sam even get that shot from the CCTV and
Yeah,
so on.
from one of
But
the only people that knows it exists, right? That would be Faber.
yeah, but Faber's the one sitting here saying like, I believe Sam and
Yeah,
I want to figure out how he got this photo. So it does kind of feel one way or the other. There has to be someone else, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
who did Sam meet with in the pub? Again, I suppose it doesn't have to be someone we already know.
Right, right.
We'll see, I guess. But it does seem clear that he was trying to leave some clues. Um, I feel like, given what's happened in this episode, it's almost to the point where he almost has to tell the German authorities that he's not really in control,
Yeah, I would think so.
you know. But I don't know if he quite can or he's too worried about that. At the same time, he did get that USB drive out, and that's discovered. We didn't mention that.
That's right. Yeah.
Baby's mom, sister, whatever, does find the USB drive. So presumably they'll give that to the authorities. Maybe they'll start piecing things together or what have you. So 3 episodes left, and I feel like that's how it's going to come to a head ultimately, where we're going to be back in the space of Sam is the good guy and the authorities sort of knowing that he's the good guy, and how do they get these people out of the situation
Yeah.
that they're all trapped in on this train with the bombs and so on.
Seems like a lot of time left.
It does.
But I don't know. We could have some slow progression like we did this episode. But yeah, it's 3 episodes that are about 40 to 45 minutes each. Seems like a lot, but we'll see.
Well, and I mean, also, I don't know if you noticed, this episode was only 39 minutes, and that
Yeah,
includes the credits.
that's right. That's
So I'm
right.
not sure what the runtime was on the episode before the credits, but under 40 minutes. So I haven't
Sure.
checked on the episodes to come on that, but maybe they're drawing it out a little bit. Maybe they thought it was weird to only have 7 episodes in season one, so we've got 8 in season two. But we'll see. If nothing else, I
It's
definitely am really curious to see where this is going, how it comes to a head, how it concludes, all of that. I am entertained by the show, so we've got that going for us.
yeah. No, 3 more to go. Next week, episode 6, titled Junction. Yeah, will be out Tuesday night, the 17th.
Yeah, we'll be back then. I guess we're anything else you want to say about episode 5?
I think that's it for me.
All right, me too. Okay, thanks always for listening to the podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If so, please do leave a good rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. Check out tvobsessive.com. Find written work on all sorts of TV shows, past, present, and into the future. If you want to follow us on social media, if you search for TV Obsessive, you should find us. And as for the podcast, we'll be back with you next week.
All right. Looking forward to that, and we will see you then.